are you using the outdoors to utilize in your children's education? Perhaps you're a bit overwhelmed with Charlotte Mason's suggestion of 4 to 6 hours in the outdoors every tolerably fine day. Or maybe you just really don't know what to do in those hours to make it advantageous for your family to be outdoors. If that sounds like you, I invite you to stay with me over the next 15 minutes as my mission is to equip homeschool parents with the parental and educational philosophies of Charlotte Mason so that they can raise their children with capital knowledge, strong faith, noble character, wholesome conduct, and self education. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you're penetrating the mind and heart of your children. And that's what I love about the Charlotte Mason method. Well, if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, I encourage you to stay with me for today's episode, The Outdoor Teachers. This is something that we're embracing right now as we're on our 14-week RV trip. We're about 2.5 weeks into that. And what I'm loving is just how intentional we're being about not only getting outdoor time, but making sure that the outdoor time we're having is in fact educational. So if you're on my newsletter, you got a big peek behind the scenes as to what that might look like for us over the last week as we spent 30 hours at least outside and got to see a lot of new things here in Texas. And so it inspired me to help you understand a little bit more about, letting go of this mentality that education is only from books. Yes, we are educated by those things inside books, but we're also educated by outdoors. And Charlotte Mason really encourages us to get our children outside. And so in this episode, you're going to be learning three different things. Number one, what lessons await you outdoors, what to do differently to learn away from books, and then how to get the 4 to 6 hours outside each day. So let's get started by first talking to you about what lessons await you outdoors. Well, let me tell you, I don't want you to think about these outdoor times by picking up your lesson books and going outside. In fact, Charlotte Mason warned us not to do that. She said, in fact, that those hours outside are a little more important than the lesson books, and we should almost never pick up our books outside. So if you're like me, when we first started doing Charlotte Mason, I would do the books outside and thinking that's what Charlotte Mason meant. Now, it is good to get outdoors. I love reading outdoors, but I don't want you to think that is what she meant. Now, what I mean by that is there's so much to learn outside. And I'm going to give you a glimpse into different things that I want you to be thinking about and considering while you're outside. And then I'm going to be sharing some apps with you. Some of them we've been using for a while, and some are brand new. So I'm real excited about that aspect. So, number one, some of the lessons that you should be doing outside is by far geography. Charlotte Mason really wants children to learn about geography with firsthand experience by getting outside, learning about north, south, east, and west, where the sun rises, where the sun sets, looking at the sun and tracking the sun, the moon phases, the stars, being able to understand how to use a compass, having the ability to make maps, first starting with their property and their nature walks, and then moving out from there. Children are educated by their intimacies. So we must recognize that giving them a globe right off the bat and expecting them to know that geography without understanding what geography is firsthand is really going to be a hard grasp for children. But when we start with geography and intimacies of what's in their yard, what's in their nature walks, what's in their parks and the surrounding areas, then and only then does geography come alive. So then part of geography is also, collecting things, and that moves us into nature. So what kind of things can your children start collecting? Rocks, flowers. There's a whole lot of things children can collect. But the key here is that it comes under notice through observation. So you need to be honing in on those skills of observation and really getting your children keen in that focus of getting their attention on something. So there's a whole lot of nature, whether it be birds or trees or flowers or butterflies. All of these things are objects that your children can be observing and getting to become familiar with through intimacies. I hope you're taking that word to heart today. Intimacies is that's what the outdoor teachers do for us. It gives us intimacies with our children for them to become interested and to be opening up their mind in order for things to penetrate it. And then I want you to be thinking about the different times of day. Some animals are nocturnal, others are not. They're awake during the day. And you want to make sure that you're helping your children become aware of seeing those things that are awake during the day and recognizing certain animals that you might only see if you're up at night. Now, what to do differently learning from books. So I don't want you to go outside and think, well, how can I make this, part of school and count it? Well, it's just this. You have to understand that what a child learns will be retained when our thoughts are geared together. So as much as we can keep our children engaged and thinking about those things are really important. We can ask questions, but what's more importantly is having the answers to the questions the children are asking. Now, I don't know about you, but when I started Charlotte Mason, I was a city girl and knew nothing about nature. Everything scared me so bad. So field guides enabled me to get quite familiar pretty quickly with things in the area. Now, my children tend to be more naturalists than I am, meaning that they can tell you more information. I'm a naturalist at heart, meaning that I can appreciate nature and sit and watch it and be in awe of it. But to know the nitty gritty of things, it's a little harder for me than it is for my kids. And it's probably because they've grown up in this way of educating. I did not. And so I've had to really let go of a lot of old habits of learning and really embrace this aspect of observation and getting to know things. I do know a lot, but I don't know as much as my children do. And so we need to recognize it's okay if we don't know as much, but having resources that help you to learn what things are, their habitats, where they grow, what time of the year they grow. All of these things become teachers outdoors. And if we can utilize that and think differently, where we're not really narrating per se, instead we're retelling or recollecting things that we saw. In other words, oh, I noticed this over by the creek, or I saw this on our walk. Those are recollections similar to that of narration. So I want you to think of this a bit differently. So we used a lot of field guides growing up. We all have one of these at our side. So what I want you to recognize is there's a lot of apps out there that are free, that fit in your pocket, and we pretty much take our phones everywhere. So I'm going to tell you, you want to get a great piece of paper and pen if you don't have one right now, or maybe just pull up your phone. So one of the apps we use is Seek, Seek. Seek, you take a picture, or you use the app to take a picture. You can use your gallery. So if you're out on a walk and you just want to take some pictures and stay in the presence of what's going on, take a picture and leave it for later. Then you upload it into Seek, and it will tell you what it is that you just found. Now, sometimes it just says, that's in the flower family or that's in the tree family. And sometimes it's completely wrong altogether. But it will sometimes give you exactly what it is. It depends if someone actually had already identified it. So it's a give and take sometimes, which is why I also recommend Nature ID, Nature, Naturei. That one gives you plants and trees. And that is something I really recommend because that seems to be where they're having a problem identifying some things. So that's where I like to use Nature ID. And so here we are in Texas, and there's so many different things for us to learn. This app does it for you. And so it kind of takes that necessary step of field guides and kind of looking through and gets the answer to you a lot faster. Plus, it gets that electronic touch kids really seem to like. Then I also like to identify birds. We have spent a full year when we first started Charlotte Mason just studying birds. And what I love about them is that you it's never ending. And when you move your location, and you might have certain birds in your backyards, but then you go across town into a different park and they might have different birds there. Or if you go to the beach, there's different birds there. Or if you go to the river, there's different birds there. And so it's all about geographical, and the birds really help your children kind of connect better with geography and recognize that certain birds stay in certain areas. And it really helps them a lot. So I encourage you to do that. Now, Charlotte Mason was all about compass work and learning about geography. And so you really need your kids to learn a compass. A compass can be a little challenging, but I'm telling you, children can grasp it so quickly, and they do. But I use a Compass Galaxy app, and it's something you can just hold. And it seems to be the one that works the best. You just need to make sure your phone is level when you're doing it, and it will show you where true north is, and you can go from there. So on your nature walks, it's really cool to let your kids just get excited and interested in the different directions that they're going. It also leads me to geocaching. So if you've never done geocaching before, these are where treasures are hid across the world, and then you can find out the different locations, and you can use GPS or a compass to find their location. And it's a really great opportunity to get outdoors, do nature walks while looking for something hidden. And kids absolutely love it. So we're going to be getting some of that in ourselves here in Texas. And then this new one, oh my goodness, my daughter's friend recently moved to Texas, and she's about an hour away from us where we are right now. So the other night she came to visit us. And when she was here, a conversation went from one thing to the next. We were saying, I wonder, I see red. So I wonder if the sun is setting and if it's a beautiful sunset. So we went out to look, and we couldn't really see where the sun was. But the clouds overhead were really red, and that made no sense. So we were trying to figure out where the sun was. She pulled up this app. It's called Skyview Free. And it showed you right where the horizon is. It shows you where the sun is setting. It shows you where the different planets are. And I'm just going to see if I can pull it up and show you guys, because it's pretty cool. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. So this is my inside, and it has music, but right up there. So you can see these different, I guess that's just my lights. Okay, I'm getting a little excited here. This is going to be, okay, here we go. Here's a constellation, and it tells you what the constellation is down here. And then you can move it a certain way, and it'll show you what stars make up. So this is a perfect one for your older kids or your younger kids who want to enjoy the night sky. And so this is a perfect opportunity, but it'll show you different planets, and my lights are really reflecting weird. So you just keep moving it around, and it'll show you different parts. I was so excited about this app, I had to download it right away, and we started to use it that night. So that's Skyview Free. So there are some ways that you can actually be doing things a bit different than what it looks like in books, and getting some of those hours outside. Now, if you're like me, when we first started Charlotte Mason, getting an hour outside was very overwhelming to me, and I couldn't even fathom what in the world we're going to do in those hours. And so, first of all, I just gave you a whole lot of ideas to get started. But when you're really starting out and you hear 4 to 6 hours and you might have little ones, it could be very overwhelming. So here's what I want you to encourage you to do. Start with something that seems reachable. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Maybe you can say, I can be out there for 30 minutes with our kids. And maybe today we're going to do looking at the different directions with a compass. And that sounds great. And then tomorrow, let's see if we can push it a little bit more from 30 to 40 minutes and work it up where you get out there longer. And then once a week, and here's the catcher, once a week, plan one outing where it's more of a nature walk, where you have intentions of working on that observation skills, and you get out there, pack a lunch, have a picnic. All of a sudden, you've now given yourself another 20, 30 minutes outside where the kids are eating and enjoying. And if you bring other friends in with you, like we used to do, you can see that those hours just easily and naturally get longer and longer. And especially in those tolerably fine days, it's really easy for you to see, I can stay out here 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And once you see it's possible, then you begin to say, you know what, next time let's do this. And before you know it, you'll be going for maybe 30 minutes up to those 6 hours pretty naturally. So I hope this has encouraged you to get outside and to really get yourself connected. Now, if you have not joined my email list, I really encourage you to do that, because I send a lot of encouragement through these weekly newsletters, usually sent on Monday. Sometimes life happens and they get out on Tuesday, but they're things I don't share online. So I encourage you to go to charlottemasonmastery.com/calm, CALM. And the reason is I share calming influences to the heart with our mothers inside the newsletter. So if you have yet to do that, I encourage you to join my newsletter and look for that on Mondays. And if you don't see it on Monday, look on Tuesdays. They're normally out weekly during that time. I've enjoyed this so much. And next week I'll be live again. Not sure what I'm teaching. I'm just kind of going by the seat of my pants week by week on this adventure. But I hope to see you next week live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, Charlotte Mason Mastery, and at 3 Eastern time. Until next time, bye for now.